When you first open a Dubbing Studio project, it can be a little bit overwhelming at first. There's just a lot on the page and there's a lot of different features. So let's kind of go over some of those. Right out of the gate, you'll notice that you'll be on the default or the original language. So if you do want to switch that, you'll just need to click here on the bottom to your target language. And in this case, I have Spanish. On the main page here, you'll notice that you have the video, which can be minimized, of course. You can move that around if you'd like. You have the speaker cards, which has the transcriptions as well as the translations. And then you have the timeline down here in the bottom, which is all the different audio clips. And you'll notice that if you click on a certain audio clip, it will correspond with the speaker card. You can see that it's actually highlighted here. So if I was to click on this one right here, then this speaker card is highlighted. So let's just play a portion of this right here so you can hear it.
Yeah. So a couple more things about olfaction.
Now you notice, if you're wondering, why is it playing in English, not Spanish? There's also this button right here, which toggles between your target language and the original one. And it's actually on original. So if I wanted to go back and forth while it's playing, this is what it'll sound like.
So, un par de cosas más sobre el olfato. I love this stuff. This is so, me encanta esto.
Which is pretty fun to do. And then, as I mentioned, these clips can be moved around, so it helps kind of get the timing in sync with your video. So for instance, I think that this particular clip is a little bit off. Let's have a listen.
Adrenalina.
It is. It's actually a little bit late. So I'm just going to move that a little bit to the left. Now let's have a listen.
Adrenalina.
Perfect. A lot better. Now on the right-hand side, this is what controls your settings for your individual clips. So on the left-hand side, you'll notice these settings affect the entire track. And again, that's this gear button here to the left. So say I wanted to change the voice of the entire track. I can go ahead and click this gear. I can choose a voice that I have saved in my library. I can maybe edit the model, edit the settings, and that's going to affect the entire track. But if I just wanted to click and change the settings of a particular clip, I can maybe click, this clip right here. And now whatever settings I change right here is only going to affect this clip and not affect this one. So for instance, if I wanted to change this voice to something completely different, I'm going to click that. I'm going to go to voice here. I'm going to choose Lily, who's one of our default voices. And then I'm going to generate that audio. And you'll notice it's only going to affect that clip, and then it's going to go back to the other voice for the other clip. Have a listen.
Adrenalina.
Sí.
So that's something fun to play around with. On Dubbing Studio, you can add sound effects directly on the timeline, which is really, really cool. So you'll see that there are these 4 options right here, and you have this add sound effects. Once you click that, it's going to create a new track. And then on that track, you can click anywhere on the timeline. So say I wanted to have some, I don't know, rustling leaves. For some reason, I wanted some rustling leaves. I can type that out. I can generate that audio. And then we will get some sound effects in the background. So let's have a quick listen to that.
Sí. Entonces, un par de cosas más.
And for whatever reason, we have rustling leaves in our podcast. One very, very important piece of information is any clip that you click on can have the volume adjusted of that clip. So you can see that Dubbing Studio has actually extracted background noise, and oftentimes you'll upload a video that, say, has some music in the background and you don't want it. Well, this is a really good tool where you can click on that clip, in this case, this background clip, and then on the right-hand side, it says one clip selected, and there's a volume slider. So I'm actually going to move that all the way down to the left, and that's actually reduced the volume completely. So if I did have music in the background, it would be gone. There's also a couple of buttons that you can use to affect your clips. So by default, you're on the select tool. If you wanted to remove a portion of a clip without kind of stretching it or compressing it, you're going to want to change that to this tool, which is the trim tool. So I'll show you first what it looks like with just select on. This is by default. So say I wanted to drag this. It's actually going to move the audio and compress it, and now you're going to get this kind of squeaky sound. Have a listen. So we don't want them sounding like chipmunks, so I'm going to push Control-Z or Command-Z so that it goes back. That's your undo button. And by the way, if you want a full list of hotkeys, you can click this cog icon in the top right, and that will bring up this menu here. Click Show Keyboard Shortcuts, and that'll give you a full list of some helpful shortcuts to help you kind of with your workflow. And then going back to the trim tool, if you wanted to kind of shave off some of that audio, go ahead and click Trim, click that clip, and then just drag it, and then it will eliminate some of that extra audio that you don't want. I'm going to move it right back because I want to keep that, and then I'm going to go back to the Select tool. Finally, export options. So if you're done with all of your edits and you're happy with your video, you can go ahead and click Export on the bottom right. And you have two different options. You can export in the new translated language. You can also choose to export in the original language if you want, which can be useful in some situations. If you click this drop-down menu, you'll see a bunch of different export options. Two notable ones are the audio tracks and the audio clips in a zip file. And this is going to organize them all based off of their audio tracks or the audio clips, which is really, really helpful if you're exporting into a third-party audio editing software. So I hope that helped. Of course, please visit our documentation and our guides for a full breakdown of everything in Dubbing Studio.